Hi everyone, welcome to Dear BAMf, the show for PR and marketing pros like you, hosted by Beck Bamberger of BAM. BAM is a communications agency that believes stories move the world. We move stories forward for technology-driven brands that challenge, change, and create entire industries. Today, on the Dear BAMf podcast, we're talking with Keji Mustapha, Head of Network, Brand, and Culture Operations at Connected Ventures. She's an experienced operational specialist with a demonstrated history of working with early-stage startups. Let's dive in.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dear BAMf, the podcast for PR, marketing pros such as yourself. We dive into questions that are always concerning and problems for comms marketing people as we are here. And there's never a lack of questions that come into our advice section here. So we're so happy today because straight from London, Keji Mustapha from Connect Ventures, where you oversee, Keji, let me make sure I have everything right. Brand, ops, all the things. Network, I think I got it all. Culture. Did I miss anything, Keji? Welcome.
No, you got it all. Thank you for having me. Hello.
Yes, hello. And for everyone else also listening, of course, I'm Beck Bamberger, run BAM Communications. Well, actually now we're just technically called BAM, which is an agency that reps all these venture-backed technology companies. Keji, first question for you. What's the 60-second soundbite of what you do currently at Connect Ventures, or even what Connect is for those who don't know?
Yes, for sure. I'll start with what Connect is. So Connect is a pan-European seed stage venture capital fund. We're based in London. As I said, we're pan-European, so we invest across Europe. It's been around since 2012. And what's pretty unique and cool about Connect is that we're thesis-led. So our thesis is that we back opinionated products crafted with love and loved by many. And to give you an idea of what we mean when we talk about, our obsession with product companies, some of the companies in our portfolio include the likes of Typeform, Soldo, Citymapper, Second Nature, and we were the lead investor in those companies, so lead institutional investor, which is pretty cool. Our strategy is we're low volume and high conviction, which means we only do 8 to 10 or so deals a year. And because we're partner only, we get to really build really close relationships with the companies we back. And at Connect, I head up, as you mentioned, Network, which is our community, Brand, which is really our firm brand, and Culture Ops, which is all the fun internal people operations at Connect. It's
a lot, Keji. You're doing a lot. I know firsthand because we talk. So, my gosh. Well, speaking of a lot, what would you say you're most proud of accomplishing in this last 12 months or so?
Without sounding trite,
surviving.
I was going to say, just staying sane and productive and kind of sort of happy and keeping my sunny disposition. No, I'm proud of a lot of things. I think as a team, we achieved a lot of things. But when I think about the 3 functions that I own, on the network side of things, I'm really proud that we were able to flip our offering. Our value add was quite offline heavy prior to the pandemic. So flipping everything to online and really still being able to facilitate those meaningful connections with the founders. And secondly, launching our function lead community, which I run with my team member, Eleanor, which is really cool. On the brand side of things, was really launching our first firm newsletter. We only started building out the brand function last year. So we now have we have 2 newsletters, but our main one is our generalist one, which is Connect the Dots. I'm really proud of that because I get lots of great engagement and really good feedback every month, which is still like, oh my God, people read it. Wow, this is exciting.
Yes.
And finally, on the people side of things, I think I mentioned I have a team member now, Eleanor, and we hired and onboarded her, did it all remotely. So every function I owned required love and attention, and which was like a perfect storm. But somehow we managed to do really cool things. And like I said, we have an awesome team, a lean team of 7, and all the support was really great.
Wow, there's only 7 of you and the whole fund?
Yeah.
Oof, you guys do a lot. You do a lot. And as it relates to that, do you have a favorite way to tell a story right now?
I really like thinking about this. Like, I think I really love video. I know this. Well, no, I like multimodal ways of telling stories. So I think always have like it, whether it's in writing and then also audio version and then video, because I think people consume content and consume stories and take in information in different ways. So my best favorite way to tell a story would be in a multimodal way. But above all, I think fun and conversational, whatever story I'm telling, because that's what feels most authentic to myself and also feels most authentic to Connect as a brand.
Oh, yes, I love video and multidimensional stuff. We just shot a bunch of editorial video stuff, COVID approved, of course, outside with murals. And I'm curious to see how those will turn out, but I don't have any clips right now. But still, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So I agree. I know, me too. And it's just actually, since you were there, Keji, it's just right around the area where we had that BC Comms Con. So in the East Village with all, it's going to be so good. I'm excited. It's making me excited for video and editorial work, again, creative. Well, let's hop into our questions for today. We got 3 interesting ones, all different. Here is the first one. Dear BAMf, after 2020, I'm rethinking the way I connect with our customers from an authentic, real way. I am head of marketing for a health tech company that works for hospitals, and our products are used by nurses. I know nurses have been praised a lot last year and this year, of course, so I'm looking for some ideas to be particularly thoughtful and not just, here's a $10 Starbucks gift card. Any ideas?
Yeah, that's a tough one, right? Because I feel like, God, nurses have had it so hard and I think across the world. And so, like, what can you actually do for them that would really, excite them? I think first thing is to think about, like, delighting them, right? Like, so that I'm always a fan of just, like, going straight to the horse and asking, like, what do you actually want? And of course, I'm going to plug Typeform because obviously if you're trying to get information in a conversational, fun, informal way, like it's such a great tool to use for that. So definitely you can sort of, I love a good stop, start, continue. So like I'd send a Typeform and ask them what they wanted. But aside from that, I'm really, really keen on, meaningful connection. So obviously all these ideas are budget permitting, but you could definitely host like a virtual brunch in smaller groups so they can get to know each other because they might not know each other already. And actually you can also use that to catch up and hear from them, like what do they want more of, like how they're not been served. So that's like a double way of doing that. But I think like just creating a sense of belonging as well, right? Like, I mean, it could be anything from, like when I think about delighting experiences, like anything from like little care packages or gift boxes. And I think people really underestimate that. And, like over Christmas, we made a really last minute decision to send gift boxes to all our founders. And we turned this around in like, this was like for 100 odd founders. And each gift box had like 5-6 items in it. And when we were doing it, it was one of those things where I was like, are they really going to care about this? Or they just be like, who really cares? But actually the responses just showed that like human beings just like to be appreciated, and just something small like a care package or the like just shows that someone's actually thinking about you. Like, and so for us, like obviously in this box, we had like a book that we wanted them to read. It was all focused on product, of course, that we thought they'd enjoy reading. It was like hot chocolate, mulled wine, a pair of socks, brownies. Like it was just like, so the whole theme was like, we want you to like chill, reflect, and connect with your family. So there were also like small games in there. So maybe think about the things that they haven't had a chance to do or pamper themselves, that could be really fun for them, a nice way for them to unwind and relax. And I'm a big fan of care packages. And I know you mentioned the $10 Starbucks gift card, like it needn't be crazy expensive. And actually you might find if you reach out to other brands, you'd be surprised at how willing they would be to do something.
That's what I was going to say. Like, how could you maybe get a couple of brands, basically make your own little Birch box.
Exactly.
You could do that
completely
with brands who want to support that endeavor. Now that's going to take some heavy lifting, but imagine how great that could be, because I'd imagine a lot of other brands would want to associate themselves, want to give this, all that good stuff. So I would totally get into that. And I have to say, nothing is more non-authentic than like the bin of popcorn.
Oh God.
The $10 gift card. You're like, huh? I don't even like Starbucks. So just for this person, I think to what you said, Keji, of like, ask them, see what they're interested. Of course, everyone's individual, but maybe it's like they just can't wait to go on a damn vacation, which is still several months away. But just imagine if maybe it's just an Expedia gift card. So they eventually, and you know what? Speaking to your other idea, hit up Expedia. Yes, say like, hey, you guys want to donate some of this stuff? See what kind of partnerships you can get. So that, I mean, if I got like a $500 gift certificate to Expedia, I mean, that's a lot. Okay. But that'd be really impactful.
Definitely. And I also think actually like it's another opportunity to think about the different love languages. Which is similar to appreciation languages, right? Because you can be like, some people might want gifts, other people might just want like the recognition,
acknowledgement.
Exactly. Other people might just want like quality time to do something, or like giving them time to do something. I don't know. Like, but again, this comes from like asking your customers what they actually want.
Exactly.
But being mindful that like you might end up coming up with three or more ideas that just serve the different needs of the community that you're serving. But I think it's such a thoughtful, whoever this is, like, good on you for wanting to think
on this person
way. Like, yeah, you're a good egg, a good human for sure.
I agree. Next question, Dear BAMf. My sales team is getting a bit aggressive with my marketing team. There's 3 of us in total. We're a well-funded startup marching towards an acquisition or next major round of funding this year. So all the numbers are super important right now. One point I need help on is related to our webinars. We get 100 to 200 people registered who stay on for our entire webinars, which is great. The problem is the sales team has now asked us continuously, how do these convert? My position, of course, is, well, we got you the people here, but I want to work in partnership with the sales team and help them nurture these MQLs. By the way, that's marketing qualified leads along. What can we do here? Keji, what do you think? This is the old age question of how do those leads convert into sales leads versus just marketing leads?
Yeah, I know. And it's always one of those, like, it's the friction is everywhere you go. It's like the biggest friction point in cross-functional teams. It's always like, and it always feels like a turf war almost, right? Like, this is like gang wars. So I think, like, for me, I one of the things that I always start with is really thinking about, like, what are the goals, right? Like, if everyone's being clear on what the goals are, like the firm goals, and like, and how you can align on that, and figure out, like, okay, what are the audiences that they're trying to get there, like, and how can we make sure they're like sales ready, so that the marketing team that are going to go find these audiences, they're bringing people in that are like already warm leads ready to go, and then like create some shared goals between the two so that they're aligned on them. So it's more like we're actually now a tiger team. We're coming together and we live and die by the same sword, right? Like, and then also maybe like figure out what that end goal is, what the roadmap is, and then like clarify like who owns what part of that journey. So it's not like, oh, marketing are in charge of this and sales are in charge of this. Like, we're all in charge of this, but we're going to take this part, and this is the impact or the outcome we're going to have of this part, and then you're going to pick it up from here, and then after a bit we'll pick it up again. And so it's like a real tag team, a bit like a relay race, actually.
A little bit.
And if they think of it a little bit more like that, but I think it all boils down to also communication. And I think like part of the challenge is that it feels people don't communicate well. I think like we're all guilty of it. We could all communicate better. And because communication is obviously like broken, it means that people feel like little fiefdoms are breaking out. So I think, definitely like agreeing on and coming together to design and agree and align on the goals that they're trying to achieve, and like having open lines of communication to be vulnerable. Like, I was going to use a bad word there. We messed up here.
Totally
or like, you guys could do this better. Ask each other for feedback as well to figure out like how can we better refine and tweak this entire process that we're working down, and then think of each other as like a team, not as two separate teams, but like one team trying to achieve that one goal. And I think like also, I think maybe trying to incentivize collaboration could also be good, because my understanding is incentivize sales for specific things and marketing for specific things, but actually if you reward the achievement of the shared targets or like the shared goals that they're trying to achieve, then you're more inclined to want to work together as a team to achieve those goals. Because it's like, oh crap,
very true.
We both need to do this, otherwise neither of us get the incentives.
That was honestly, that was going to be one of my first questions. Is a lot of times this kind of fiefdom turf war thing breaks out when there are competing resources or the perception of competing resources. So, there's more salespeople than the market. Like this person did mention, for example, oh, there's 3 people on the marketing team. I don't know if maybe there's 20 salespeople or something. So there might be a little of that. And so one of the bigger picture things would be, okay, what's the collective goal? And are both sides aligned to that goal? Do their even sub goals correlate with each other so everyone's rowing in the same direction?
Yeah.
That would be one concern, because I would imagine that at least for the sales team, it's like, okay, we got to hit these numbers. But maybe marketing has a much looser goal, let's say, of just like, well, just get so many website hits to our website or so, who knows? So maybe there's something to dig into there. And then secondly, just as more of a tactical thing, because I definitely can understand from a webinar, it's like, oh, well, there's 150 people on the webinar. Okay, half of them are like prospective talent, your mom, whoever else, like not clearly the defined lead. So what you could do for the sign up is just have a form. Again, back to your type form, Keji.
Yeah.
Have a form. Hey, name, role, company, so that then the sales team can like dig in and of those signups go, okay, great. Those people, that person signed up. They attended the webinar, about 70% of it. I can follow up with them because I can see from the company database or looking at Crunchbase or whatever other third-party data thing, like that's clearly our target customer. And then you can hone in from there. Precisely. So maybe you're not capturing enough on the sign-up side to understand if they're qualified.
Exactly. And I think that's precisely what the challenge is like not giving the sales team enough clarity around like who in this audience is sales ready. So like if you, and that's kind of a simple tweak, right? Like we had something similar in terms of like creating our newsletter sign up form. It's like, oh, just have people split the audience, right? Like, am I a prospective founder? Am I a VC? Am I an angel? Whatever. And then you can just figure out like, oh, okay, this is actually the profile, and segment the audience much better. And then that just actually gives a lot more clarity and means you can come up with a plan together from there. And then I think the final thing I'd say, which might sound a little bit controversial, is there a world where you can have both teams kind of swap roles?
Ooh, yes.
Because I think that creates more empathy, right? Like, because the sales team might think, oh, these marketing is just in la-da-da land and they're just doing whatever. And the marketing team is like, oh, this sales team are just doing X, Y, Z. But actually, if you figure out a way where you can, even if it's just for an afternoon, like, okay, well, you guys are going to jump on. It's kind of like, I love those companies that make everyone spend an afternoon in customer success, or at least rotate seats, because it really does like create that sense of empathy. And once you have that, you actually see them more as a human, more as a peer, and more as like, oh, we're actually in the same boat. We're rowing in the same direction and we're facing the same challenges, albeit from different sides of the table.
Yes.
So that might be a fun experiment to try.
Ooh, I love that.
I love a good experiment.
Ooh, I love that. Last question, Keji. Dear BAMf, our startup has a few $1 million raised from some notable venture funds and focuses in the natural product space for young children. We're targeting parents and we're targeting parents and will be D&C, direct to consumer. I'm a team of 1 on the marketing front, and it will be at least a year until we have more funds to support other hires. I'm debating the 3 or maybe 4 things that we can do in order to maximize our dollars and obviously my capacity. Thoughts on what I should focus on or how to go about prioritizing? Well, Keji, you have 17 jobs, so maybe you're the perfect person to answer this. This is like, oh my God.
Listening to this question, I was thinking, I can definitely empathize with this person.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I think we're all in that bait now, right? Like everyone's doing a million things at once. So,
and the one thing I will say to this person too is, man, now I have this group, and it's all the CMOs, directors of marketing at these startups, and they're funded at the C, D, E levels and beyond, and it is shocking that even at a company with $100 million in funding raised, let's say, the marketing person is still a team of 2, 3. Now there's 100 engineers, by the way. They're working on the product or they're doing that stuff. But there's a dearth of typically marketers or comms people inside even well-funded companies. So I just give the caution light to this person thinking, oh, okay, now when we raise this much, I'm going to have a team of 10. It's like, that does not normally happen, at least in the startup world that we exist in. So we see this firsthand so often. So Keji, what do you say?
I mean, I think the first thing you should do is figure out a way to join the BAM marketing community so that you actually have other peers that you can, talk challenges with. But no, in all seriousness, I think I think about this in sort of three ways. So the first is really around like clarity. So one is being like super clear on who that ideal customer profile is and that primary audience, because I think like once you're clear on who within that, you're targeting parents, but that could be parents of like two children or one child, or working parents or non-working, like figure out who that really core lowest hanging fruit primary customer is, and just get to know like who they are, what they like, what their journey to you is, and all that great stuff. I say this because like once you're clear on that, and you can get pulled in loads of different directions, the next thing is then you can then be clear on what you're trying to achieve with that audience, right? Are you trying to just build brand awareness, or are you trying to build an audience with them? Are you trying to drive engagement? Are you trying to build authority in their mind? Like, once you're clear on who it is you're trying to get to first, you can be clear on what you're trying to achieve, which I think will then help you, because from there you can go and figure out like who are your peers that are doing things really, really well. And the point is that you're not trying to reinvent the wheel, right? You just want to take inspiration, because my thinking, much like community building, like no marketing strategy is going to be unique, but the execution is what's going to be unique. So you can go and see what others are doing and get inspiration from there, and then like take the best bits and figure out how you then put it into like what it is you're trying to create. So that's the first part around the clarity. And then I think the second part is just like experimenting, right? Like pick a couple of channels you want to focus on to help achieve those goals, like run regular tests to see what activities are performing the best, what's resonating the most, what's having, the most impact. And this is all like, I'm not saying anything really revolutionary here, but it's funny how the basics just get missed when you're kind of trying to put out a trillion fires at once.
Yep.
And then once you're kind of done with that, like just automate and productize as much as you can. And obviously I say productize, which you're thinking like, oh God, you're so obsessed with that. But no, really, like it's like you can really, you can run much faster once you've productized certain things, and when you've automated the things that you just do again and again and again in your sleep, that it does not require time, but just being organized enough to like set those processes and figure out like what those repeatable things you do over and over and over again are, like whether it's like creating templates for outreach, or like creating like a calendar so you stay on track, figuring out what you're going to prioritize, those things. Actually, if you can do a lot of those and get that foundation set, you can then run faster. You can have more things you can try, more experiments you can try, and then actually it means you can outsource some bits. Because I mean, I think you can ask to have some funding to outsource bits, whether it's to other members of the team who you might find like, you have like a generalist, really smart ops or like office manager or executive assistant who's got some capacity. And actually, if you've already set up these processes and productized a lot of it, you can just help them. I mean, they can just help you, and you're not having to like teach them, because there's like a playbook for how to do it. And then if all else fails, like partner up. I know I mentioned it with the first person, but find complementary brands that are aligned with what you're trying to do. You can co-host events, you can tap into their audience as well. You can like engage your community that way and entice your community that way too. And essentially just build yourself this mini tiger team. And like you'll get so far with that, like outsourcing as much as you can, getting aligned with other brands that are similar to yours, and you'll have fun doing it. You'll feel less lonely too, having someone to work with outside.
Yeah, you'll get some other people.
Exactly.
Oh, so true.
Which is a really good one. And like I said before, above all, find a community of your peers, because that's been the biggest saving grace. Like, Beck mentioned that
Yes.
BAM has this community. Beck also has one for marketing and content people in VC. And I was saying when we were chatting at the start of this call, that is like my favorite Slack channel, because it's just so great to have a community of peers who I can ask questions to. I learn so much from on a daily basis, and it just feels less lonely and more fun. And who doesn't want to have fun in the work they're doing?
So agree, Keji. One of the biggest points from that conference we had that I will like not forget, because it was like seared into my brain, was from Jody from GV, Google Ventures, who's the head of comms there. She's a partner there. And do you remember this, Keji? And she said, listen, 2 things. Pick 2 things for the year and just focus on that, because no one's going to remember anything else.
Yep.
And everything else is like your little sand, your little marbles in your jar, put in the big things, the
put
2
in the
things.
big rocks, yes.
And that's it. That is it. So I give the same advice to this person, because you can do truly 18 things, but then it's all little tiny pieces of sand, and then no one's going to remember.
Yeah.
And the most dangerous, I think, part or cautionary part of just this role of being the Marcoms person in startups is you're not with a peer group typically within that startup that gets it necessarily and really deeply understands marketing and comms, like instead of being like, for example, at an agency. So you are going to be constantly proving your worth and what you are doing and why it's important and all that stuff. So just keep in mind, just get some big rocks and hold on to those rocks for the year.
And that's the hardest part, right? And if all else
that
fails,
is the hardest part.
I had a great chat. I have to shout out Joelle from Listen, and she's a big fan of repurposing content, and she's like,
I know
the content. And when she told me that, it was like revolutionary, because much like the 2 things, like those 2 big rocks are going to take up a lot of like brain space, bandwidth, but all these other things that you can do around it, like the productizing and things like that, you can just sweat stuff and like just keep repurposing content. That's my big focus for this year, is actually like figuring out how best to do that, because then it just frees me up to literally like focus on these cool new things that I want to prioritize for the year. So yeah, for sure.
There you go. Keji, this has been wonderful. Thank you for your sage insights, your advice. I know you have a trip coming up. I am so excited for you. Hallelujah.
Indeed.
It's been really fun.
I love chatting with you back. It's just always.
I know, Keji. We always have fun.
I know.
It is always great.
Living our best lives.
We are. That's what we're trying. That's our aim.
And
I love it.
Importantly, I hope that we've been able to answer those questions that came in. They're literally the same questions I ask myself regularly. So I'm glad to hear others asking them too. This is fun.
This is why we're here.
Indeed.
Thank you again, Keji.
Thank you. Have a great one. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Dear BAMf, the advice podcast for PR and marketing pros like you. Our show was created by BAM, a PR and marketing agency headquartered in San Diego and New York City. The music you're enjoying today was composed by Tiffany Dizon, produced by Daniel Kessner, and played by San Diego Symphony's Art of Milan. If you have a tough PR and marketing question you'd like us to answer, write to us at bamtheagency.com/Dear BAMf. Don't forget the F. If you'd like to get notified of our latest episodes, subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts and review us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We'll be back next Monday with another episode of Dear BAMf. Until then,